Good day, everyone, and welcome to the pre-departure briefing for 2020. My name is Jade Bailey, and I am the Education Promotion Officer at the NAFIC NISO office based in Pretoria at the Dutch Embassy. And I am the Education Promotion Officer in our chat box. And for technical support, we have Vuchilo Makananisa. He will be assisting you, answering any questions that you may have, and helping you with any technical errors that you might that might occur today. I think there are a lot of us joining online. I see that the connection is not as strong as what it normally is, but that's also okay. Right now we have 45 attendees, and this will probably reach up until 85. Before we get started, I think a fun way would be if you drop your location in the chat box, just so that we can know where you're from, if you can hear me clearly, and also if you can see the presentation on your screen. Jonathan from the mother city. Hi, guys. Wonderful Durban, Cape Town. So I see we have a lovely, diverse group today. Harare. A lot of students from Cape Town today. Mozambique. That's wonderful. Awesome. Awesome. So I'm happy that you can now hear me clearly and that you can also see the presentation. This on the screen now, you'll just see the agenda. It is quite a lengthy agenda. I'm not going to go through all the points, but I think the most important points for us to discuss today include your actual departure, travel restrictions, as well as consular services that are available to you, as well as COVID-19 and studying abroad. I think it's really a different experience that most of you will be experiencing. And I know that we also have students that are joining us today that will be doing their courses online. So it's also a new experience for you guys too. Moving to the Netherlands. Okay, so the Netherlands welcomes international students from across the globe. Right now, the situation regarding COVID is quite a controlled one. The main goal is to provide high quality education to all of you, whether this is online or offline. I see Jonathan has just popped a question to ask if there is a recording. Yes, I am currently recording the webinar, and we will upload it onto our YouTube channel after this. But what I will do is you'll see that on about every second or third page, I do have active links. So you will see on this page is the measures, for example. I've left them as active links because I would like to save the presentation as a PowerPoint after this. And then after the webinar, I can share it with all of you, which makes accessing the links and other important information quick and easy, something that you can do from your mobile phone. So in saying this, we've done a lot of surveys, we've done some research with some of you actually, and also with our colleagues abroad to find out how things are, how is the application process, how you are finding booking a flight, do you have a visa, do you not have a visa, where you are in the student cycle, and how it is that we can assist you. And it's been quite tricky, I think each student has their own experience, and it is very case specific, So some students have visas, some students don't. Some students are waiting for their visas. Some students have visas, but they don't have flights. They need our assistance in booking a flight, etc. And that is what we are here to discuss today. So before departuring, it sounds cheesy, but we have a checklist. I think it's really important to stay connected and to stay up to date with what it is that you need. A valid visa, for entry visa, a valid passport, medical insurance, a housing contract if applicable, accommodation, admission letter, your overview of your tuition. These are just a few of the things that we ask you to have, something as simple as having medication. So if you are going to be traveling with your medication, it is important to have the prescription with you, or it will be confiscated at the airport. Something fun and interesting would be, a mix of summer and winter clothes. This only because, like in South Africa, you can have 4 seasons in one day in the Netherlands. And We have found that some students either overpack or underpack, but that's, I guess, part of the full experience. And then also not forgetting your chargers and your adapters, you know. So it will be more difficult for you to try and find chargers and adapters for your specific laptop or cell phone while you guys are already there, you know. We found that some students even consider just purchasing cheaper phones, etc. But that's not possible for all of us, you know. And something that is also important is your diploma or the certificates that you already possess. So this is a compulsory factor that you need to take into consideration. You need to have all your previous degrees with you and your certificates, preferably certified as well. So these are the original documents which you can keep safe once you are in the Netherlands. Moving to the arrival at the airport. So as you can see, we're starting off with more practical information, which will then lead us to country-specific information and then life in Holland. So arriving at the airport, I mean, after your long flight and after making your way down to passport control, this is where things kind of get a bit more serious and a little bit intimidating to some students. So you show them your passport, your visa, admission letter, and proof of stay. Those are just the general documents that would possibly be asked from you. So I sometimes just suggest having a folder or file with you with all these documents in them anyway, you know, so that it's easy to kind of access when you are asked for these or when you are asked to present any of these documentation. So it's your passport with your valid visa inside, admission letter, and proof of your stay. So this also varies according to your student type, whether you are going for a short stay, anything from 2 weeks to 2 months, or you are going for a much more longer stay, a full degree seeking student. You would then move from passport control to picking up your luggage. And I hope that your luggage arrives safe, no open locks, nothing missing. And then, you know, something that we don't really think about is, are you being picked up from the airport? You know, so are you traveling alone or are you traveling in a group? Would you like us to link you up with other students who are traveling on the same day as you? You know, I mean, it will be easy for you guys to spot each other at the airport at, you know, whether it's our Tambo or whatever the location may be, whatever the location may be. But sometimes it's also nice to get introduced to students before departure. Okay, I think it also takes a little bit of the stress and ease off you, especially during the global pandemic and all the strict rules around Corona. So are you being picked up at the airport? You know, if not, you need to head to the train station. So there's a train station at the airport, and purchase a ticket to your destination. So one of the things is, like, if you're studying at Maastricht University, you know, it is a bit further. It's way further from where the airport is from Schiphol. But I think those are small things that you need to kind of figure out. So are you studying in Utrecht? Do you need to go to Utrecht Centraal? You know, which station is it that you need to end up at? That's the first step. So you can figure that out. You can go online, you can check the train schedules, or you could just email the coordinators, just so that you know where you are going if you do fall in the category of students who are able to leave the country. This then brings us to the arrival at the university. It is compulsory for you to head to the international office of the Dutch Higher Education Institution. This is simply to get registered, to become legal, you know, in a country, and also to be involved in all the diverse international student activities. So whether it's a campus tour or a city tour or you know, a icebreaker event, anything that is happening now, to kind of introduce you to the on-campus living and to Dutch life. So another point would be registering with the embassy. I see that we have written down, you know, the embassy in South Africa. I mean, the South African embassy in The Hague. But at the end of the day, this just basically means whichever embassy is relevant to you as a student, you know? So you need to get in touch with your home embassy based in The Hague. So this is something that has helped us now. So students that have been there since last year, that are there now or previous years, they've registered with the embassy. It allows us to contact you easily. It allowed us to have a quick student database now, where we could help students return home in the case of a global pandemic or whatever the case may be. And it provides some sort of security, us knowing who has arrived, who is there, are you fine, what the case may be, if there is a medical condition, if there's an incident, an accident, anything. It allows us to have this two-way stream of communication with each other. And also if you need any information, so if you need assistance with getting home, getting a flight, if you are going to be deported for whatever reason, those small type of things that we kind of overlook before we leave our home country. And then, yeah, buying a mobile phone or a local SIM card. Most of the students buy a local SIM card. There is going to be Wi-Fi at the airport and at most stops where you'll be. There's Wi-Fi on the train, there's Wi-Fi on the trams. So I think it's a case of preference, whether you buy a new phone, which I think is actually unnecessary, but we do find that students do purchase new phones because they are more affordable there than in South Africa. And then the local SIM card. So that is something that I would actually get at the airport already, but they do sell them on university campuses and then at any of the grocery stores or shopping malls. And then, as you all know, there are more bicycles than people in the Netherlands. So this brings us to the first quick point of purchasing a bicycle. You could purchase a bicycle, new, like brand new or secondhand, or you could even just lease a bicycle for your stay. But this is the most affordable way of traveling. It's cheap, it's quick, it's easy, and it's what everyone else is doing. So that's quite important, as well as purchasing your OV chip card. This can also be purchased at the train station, at the airport, or at any of the tram stops or train stops on the way to your specific Dutch city, right? So the OV chip card is a nice little colorful card that allows you to get on and off the trams and the trains, right? So something that they don't tell you is that when you get on, you have to swipe it, and when you get off, you also have to swipe it, or else you get double charged for your trip. Okay, so something that could have been €2 or €1 would end up being €4, €8, sometimes up to €10, depending on how far you are traveling. So it's really important to sign in, to just swipe your card as you get on, and then to swipe your card as you get off. It's really a individual experience because no one's really watching anyone else, but you do have the responsibility to pay for your trip. You cannot get onto any of the trams without this card. There's no cash service, so you need to purchase the card, and you can upload cash onto the card at any of the stops. So this brings us to the more interesting information, or the more relevant information due to our circumstances. So as you know, the situation is changing so fast worldwide that information quickly becomes outdated. So is there a travel ban? Is there no travel ban? Can I leave the country? Which category do I fall into? As a student, what are my options to get to the Netherlands? So the travel ban was lifted on the 1st of July, the EU travel ban, but there are still exceptional categories that are exempt from the travel ban. And this includes, mainly for our focus today, are students with an entry visa, the MMV, which is the MVV, which is the long stay visa. Okay, with your valid study residence permit, who are willing and able to return. So this more so categorizes students who already are studying in the Netherlands, have come back home, and are now going back to the Netherlands. So they are returning to the Netherlands. And then for the new students, it's new students who have approval from the IND for their long stay visa and can now book flights to go to the Netherlands. You do need to monitor the website of the embassy or consulate in your own country, as news and updates and quick information is readily available specific to you and your case, on your home country website. So taking us to country specific, we'll start off with South Africa, and we asked three simple questions to the different embassies. Number one, will scholarship awardees be able to depart to the Netherlands for the new academic year in September? So we're referring to September 2020. Question number two, is the embassy able to issue visas? And then question number three, the last one, who is the main contact at the embassy? So the goal was to create a contact list for our students as well. Someone who you are easily able to contact and get in touch with regarding to your specific situation, and around your visa inquiries. So for South Africa, students from South Africa. So this basically depends on the institutions, the Dutch higher education institutions. The embassy is only open for emergency visa applications. So we've all been working from home since March 2020, but we do have access and we do have special permission to assist students with their journey to study abroad. So as long as the visa application falls within the restrictions of the travel ban, our colleagues at the embassy are allowed to process the long stay visas. So with regard to, is the embassy able to issue visas? Yes, they are, but only long stay visas are currently being processed. The embassy is not issuing visas for those going on a short course. That is anything from 2 years until 2 months. So the contacts for South Africa are Mariette and Renee, and the email address is on the screen right now. As previously mentioned, all these contacts and emails will be shared with you after the webinar. I will also save the presentation as a PDF and send it to all of you, so that you don't need to. I know people are probably taking photos now and trying to hurriedly rush and write down these contact details, but it will be shared with you after the session. So moving on to Zambia and Zimbabwe. So the embassy does currently have limited services that are now available for Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Malawi. So the embassy is open for emergency visa applications that include long stay MVV approvals. So this, once again, is similar to South Africa in the first slide, where only long stay visas are being processed. The embassy is not issuing visas for those going for short courses. Short courses, again, anything from 2 weeks up until 2 months. The contacts for Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Malawi are Tendai and Godensha. Their email address and telephone number is on the screen now and will be shared with you after this. So as you can see, there's a common thread in terms of travel ban and who is allowed and who is not allowed to apply for a visa and which visas those are that are being processed right now. So moving to Tanzania, I see we've got a lot of students from Tanzania asking in the chat box. So with Tanzania, the airport in Tanzania is open, and students, once again, provided that they do have the approval letter from the IND and they've got the valid visa, so the long stay visa, they are allowed to depart to the Netherlands. I see here that our colleagues did mention, in order to prevent the spread of COVID-19 virus in the Netherlands, the Dutch government has decided to implement measures for passengers flying to the Netherlands from areas with many corona infections by means of a health declaration form and self-quarantine. So we have students now who left South Africa last week and they left last week, they arrived on Sunday, over the weekend, and they are now in self-quarantine. We've also had a group of students who left in June, who also had to self-quarantine for 14 days after arrival. It is the same process anywhere in the world, and there is really a lot of support and guidance around, your self quarantine, whether you are in a sharing accommodation, whether you're sharing a room, whether you are in, off campus or on campus accommodation. But there's a lot of support, assistance to help you have enough meals and all of that around your 14 days, in quarantine. So is the embassy able to issue visas? It's the exact same answer. There are limited services that are currently running at the embassy. So it is currently still closed except for emergency cases. And to find out if you fall within the specific group of travelers, or if you are also characterized as a special case, there is a link that you will follow and you can follow through. So if your application is already in the system and your approval is on its way, the answer is yes. You will be able to study abroad. The only concern that we have from our side is that students are sending us emails or the embassy emails, when in fact you as an applicant get informed before us. So you will receive your approval letter from the IND before we do. So chances are you will know before we do. Although we have so many students asking us, am I approved? Am I approved? We can't really check that. That's something that you can check. But if you don't know how to get in touch, please email us, and we can direct you to the correct person. So the contacts at the embassy in Tanzania are Teresa and Leica, and their email addresses are on the screen as well. I think, at the end of the day, it's a very difficult time. It's a challenging time for everyone globally. But I must admit that all the embassies are pulling together and are assisting students as much as they can. Unfortunately, everything is country specific. So mobility is not a focus for many of the governments. But as long as, you have all your documents together and you are within the application process, our advice to you is that either A, you will be leaving to go abroad, or B, you will continue your studies online until such a further time. Lastly, moving to Mozambique, the same three questions, will scholarship awardees be able to depart the Netherlands for a new academic year in September? So at present, the easiest option is via Dar es Salaam. These are for our students based in Mozambique. However, flights change weekly and even daily. This is something that we also see as an office, because KLM has been nominated or has been dubbed as the sole carrier from South Africa to Europe. So all the flights are listed online. We are able to send you these lists, I mean, it's on the KLM website. So you could pre-plan your journey, you could pre-plan your leg in terms of your dates and, lining up all the important information that you need. Some students have found it more challenging than others, although we do have students that have done this whole process by themselves and are now in the Netherlands. I think it's really country specific at the end of the day. So the embassy in Maputo is open for the long stay visa applications. So this is quite interesting because applicants are only to contact the embassy after they've received the IND approval letter. So this goes back to what we just said in the previous slide, where you will be receiving this letter. So please check your junk folder and your spam folders in your inboxes, as it is a different email address that it comes from. It's an automated email address that you getting your letter from. And I think it's important to stay in contact. So either stay in contact with the person at the embassy, stay in contact with your program coordinator, whether it's the EPO, the program manager, whatever the case may be, whether you're an OKP student or OTS student or just a full degree seeking student, try and stay in contact with for example, at Mozambique, it's Eduardo, stay in contact with all of us, just so that we know where you are in the student cycle, in your application process, and what has been decided, whether it's an online start or a full degree, you are leaving the country. So that covers more of the serious information that we need to kind of get to you, and share with you. More so, especially the contact details of students, and linking you to correct embassy colleagues as well as colleagues within our offices. And this brings us to something more fun with regard to culture and Dutch people. And the first thing is, the Dutch tell it like it is. They do not beat around the bush and will often speak their minds. So to some of us, it seems quite rude, but it's really more direct. And not insulting. It's really a direct approach. And something quite funny that we always talk about is the weather. So in South Africa, if you talk about the weather, it means that you have nothing else to talk about, or that the conversation is quite boring. But with Dutch people, they love to talk about the weather, and they love to complain about the weather, But amongst topics such as weather, they also love to talk about politics and football, soccer, And a fun fact is that the Netherlands is ranked 5th in the World Happiness Report. So although they love to complain, and although they seem direct/rude, it's more in a fun way, and they have made the happiness report, which is quite interesting. So housing and accommodation. This has been a rather tricky topic to talk about, because we have students who have paid for, a year in advance of accommodation, or students who have paid for accommodation that they are now no longer going to stay in, or their courses have now been directed to online courses, and people are starting to ask for refunds, and unfortunately, this is not in our control, so we cannot assist you with this. There are no financial compensation for students who are having problems paying their rent due to coronavirus. However, landlords are looking for better solutions, and they're looking to help students. So there is the housing hotline, which is also an active link in the presentation that I'll share with you, where you can find guidance and support around either requesting a refund or getting more information around how you can better plan or change your plans of accommodation. It's really tricky, and I think to some extent it is unfair, but I have heard of landlords that are repaying some students who are not eventually now not going to the Netherlands. But then there are also landlords who have clearly stated that you've already signed a contract, and you will be charged, you are liable to pay for the accommodation fees. So this brings us to healthcare and health insurance. It is compulsory no matter where you are or where you are going to have healthcare, So when we accept international students, incoming international students, they need to have healthcare cover before they are able to register at any of our higher education institutions. This is the same in the Netherlands. You need to have your health cover for the full degree of how long you will be there, before they register you. It's a simple compulsory rule, and it's really important because we've heard of horrific stories. We've had to contact family members, and spouses, and tell them these really sad stories about accidents and incidents that have happened abroad, and you and your family have to pay for this out of your pocket. So you really need to have enough coverage during your stay. All the information is available online on our Study in Holland website. But at the end of the day, taking it back to COVID-19 and the coronavirus, everyone in the Netherlands who has symptoms of COVID can be tested. And this is something which is also a social responsibility. You, as previously mentioned, you will need to self-isolate for 14 days after arrival, and there is guidance and support in this. Testing is free of charge. So the coronavirus testing is free of charge, and coronavirus treatment in the Netherlands is also covered. So this is also why you need to have your insurance. But something interesting is that it's not compulsory to wear a mask in the Netherlands. So when you go to the malls, when you go shopping, when you're walking around in the airport, whatever the case may be, it's not compulsory to wear a mask in public spaces, but it is compulsory to wear a mask on public transport. So if you are on the bus, on the tram, on the train, it is compulsory to wear a mask, and there is a hefty fine that you will pay. So you will be issued with an on-the-spot fine, which you need to pay. So just try and avoid the fine. I know in most of the African countries, all of us, we do wear masks when we are outside. Obviously not at home or whatever the case may be, but it's now not compulsory to wear a mask in the Netherlands. So this brings us to the campuses reopening and the blended learning. This is also a tricky one in terms of, the Dutch higher education institutions, they are proud of what they have achieved to date, and also their fast shift and reaction towards online education. So many students are already working online and have enrolled in courses which are proudly happening online with no hiccups. But in some cases, this does lead to higher data usage, and it kind of becomes an expensive journey. So currently, the Dutch higher education institutions are considering several scenarios for teaching on campus and blended learning. So students who are studying at Maastricht University, for example, and Maastricht School of Management, they are now their courses have, well, not all of them, some of their courses have been deferred to January. So this brings in, a whole different student group. This is a student group who are able to leave their home countries if they are, come to the Netherlands, get into their accommodation, have a touristic and cultural experience from September right up until December, and then only start classes in January. This is an ideal situation where it gives, the different home countries and embassies a chance to gather all the information, provide visas to all the students who have outstanding visas, and ideally have student mobility, back on track, and allow students to leave their home countries for this international experience. Unfortunately, not all of the cases are the same, and not all of the institutions are opening to moving their academic year a bit further, 2 to 3 months further. So this is not the case for everyone, but I do know that some of our students were lucky enough to fall into these special cases. So these decisions vary, and we honestly advise you to stay in contact or to contact your host institution. Nafik-Niso, South Africa, Southern Africa, we are now, we are this proud information hub, and we share knowledge and information around all, just over 165 Dutch higher education institutions. We share all the information with you. So we have the contacts, we have the database and the network to link you with the correct people. So if you do not know who you are supposed to be talking to, or you can't get into in touch with a direct person and you're getting an info email address, please get in contact with our office and we can assist you with linking you to one of the Dutch lecturers, professors, whatever the case may be abroad, to help you better understand what your experience is going to be like. So this brings us to the Dutch residence permit. So your Dutch higher education institution is a recognized sponsor who helps you apply for your residence permit on your behalf. So this is something that is also done, as soon as possible. It is taking priority. So handling new student resident permits has priority now. This is where everyone or most of our students fall into in terms of if you are a new student, your application becomes priority. So if you do inquire or if you send queries, it will be handled, and it will be handled with care and in a quick manner. So we've really had wonderful experience to date, and we are just unfortunate. We kind of sad about the fact that our short stay students and our short course students will not be able to have the full Dutch experience as we would all want, but hopefully things will change in the coming weeks or coming months, and something can happen. Which brings me to the language testing. This is something that not a lot of people do. It's not really required at all Dutch higher education institutions, and depending on the programs that you are enrolled in for. But it is compulsory. There was an agreement signed on the 15th of April and then updated on the 16th of June. It's also available in our Code of Conduct for international students and higher education in Dutch higher education. And it's something that I will provide to you in one email after the webinar. But I think it's also awkward to kind of, finalize all these things and do tests and have all these things ready for your admission and visa purposes if you are not proactive in it. So it is something that needs to be done. If you are on a short course, sometimes it's not compulsory. But once again, please check with your program managers or education promotion officers that have been assisting you to date. So I've also just put a little note at the bottom. Please contact your Dutch higher education institution for more information about your enrollment. So as I previously mentioned, there are over 165 Dutch higher education institutions compared to the 26 public higher education institutions in South Africa. And then there are also over 2,100 courses taught in English. So it's honestly impossible for all the NISO officers to keep updated and well informed on every single course offered through each faculty, by which professor. So this is also information that we find online, and then we share it with you. So everything is available on our website, www.studyinholland.nl. But I think, at the end of the day, the Dutch higher education institution, whether it's the international office or the actual faculty staff member, that is where you will get your most updated information. So this brings us to tuition fees and halfway through our presentation. So this is a bit of good news for those students doing a full degree. So if you are completing your master's degree at a research university, or finishing off with your bachelor's degree at a University of Applied Sciences between September 2020 and January 2021, you will receive a once-off compensation in the first quarter of 2021. So you will receive 3 months worth of tuition fees, which is 535 euros. You will get that back no later than the 31st of March 2020. So the reason why we are mentioning this today is because I think we've got a few, I can't say that we've had a lot of queries, but around tuition fees. Students who were supposed to be enrolled at a Dutch university attending on-campus course have now inquired about refunds for their tuition fees, which has now moved online. Unfortunately, there are no agreements made around giving refunds or any sort of discount to students who were supposed to study something, on campus and is now studying online in their home country. So for more information, you have to check the website online just to stay updated and see if you do qualify for either a student discount or some sort of reimbursement. So moving to education in Holland, this is a more general information slide. Ideally, the semester would have ran from September until June, 42 weeks. And it's really an informal teacher-student relationship. So unlike coming from Africa, where it's more serious and formal, and your lecturer comes in, there's a PowerPoint presentation, they present, you ask questions and you leave. This is more problem-based learning and really independent as well. And in saying this, there's a lot of two-way interaction in the classroom, and a lot of how the class unfolds is left up to you as a student and your class, your student group, because the lecturers expect questions, they expect healthy debates, and they want to engage with their students. So it's really informal, and there's no like any sort of hierarchy in terms of doctor, professor. In Africa we like to be called by our titles. Whereas in the Netherlands it's more relaxed. So your professor will be Jade, or Yuba, or whatever the case may be. Unless unless they've actually stated it otherwise. It's very informal, as well as greetings and etc. But this is something to take into consideration if you actually are leaving, and also for our online candidates. So students who will be attending lectures online and have to be in webinars and things, there's a real thing such as online fatigue. People are tired. I am proud to welcome all of you to this webinar today, because it's quite a good turnout. People are tired of logging into webinars. People are tired of listening to things online. But it's us trying to adapt to the new normal. But at the same time, we have to encourage students to be as interactive as they would have been in a classroom, to be interactive online. So this might be a challenge for some of you. But there's a lot of support. There's enough guidelines around, the practical assignments, the group assignments, as well as self-study. There are a lot of tips and tricks on our website as well, and some nice articles that you can read to help prepare you well for this journey. So this brings us to credits and grading. So what happens is, the Dutch higher education institutions, they follow the European credit transfer system. So one ECTS is equal to 28 hours of work. You'll see that I have pasted a table. It is a bit tricky to understand, and you can see that you can't get to an actual number or actual percentage. In South Africa, we use percentages, so it's quite difficult to convert from your 75% into your score of anything from 1 to 10. It is difficult to score a 10, but it is not impossible. So whereas in South Africa, it's really, really difficult to get 100% in your final year exam or your matric certificate, whatever the case may be. In the Netherlands, there are a few students, well, more than most students who do get a 10, which is 100%, which is full marks, right? The lowest passing grade is 6, but you'll see as well student scores, 30% of people range between 6.5 and 7.4. 7.4 being very good, that's already in your 70%, which is a B in South Africa. So, student life in the Netherlands. These are just quick, fun tips and tricks for you. Also, some pointers. So, Albert Heijn, Jumbo, Hema, and Aldi are really great shopping centers. Not shopping centers, great shops for you to shop at. So they have anything from your usual groceries to some sort of clothing, household goods, items, etc. And they are more affordable. Albert Heijn may be becoming a bit more expensive now, but your jumbos and your Hemas are still quite popular among students from around the globe. Transport, as mentioned previously, chances are that you will find um, a bike. You will get a bicycle pretty soon. And then generally you'll use a tram, train, or bus with your OV chip card to get from A to B throughout your stay. So we have a lot of students who join student groups and university clubs. This is also fun because we then feature you as part of student testimonials or part of our student stories on our social media and our websites. Something new that we have started is wanting to get in touch with all our students to do Instagram takeovers. We have started to streamline our Instagram account. So we now have one Instagram account at NISO South Africa. And we would love to see your experience, whether it's an online experience, whether you will be in the Netherlands, whatever the case may be, your quarantine experience. We would love for you to take over our social media and to get involved and help us share information and knowledge. So moving to education shock, everyone speaks about the culture shock, but there's also education shock. As I previously mentioned, the different way of teaching, the style of teaching can just be different from your style at home. So you come with your set values, your expectations from your home country, your culture and education. And the differences can really result in frustration, feeling offended, and even sometimes fear at first. So we have a lot of students. Okay, I can't really say a lot, but we do have a few students who contact us, who are feeling homesick, who want to come home, and this I'm talking about is now before the coronavirus and lockdown in our various countries. And it's really tricky because you think you are well prepared, but I think only once you physically leave the country and you are on another campus in another country, in a specific city, whatever the case may be, surrounded by new people and new friends, will you slowly start to feel different, and have a different international experience. So also bringing it back to e-learning and online classes. As previously mentioned, this will be different, it will be different for everyone. Not everyone will like it, but not everyone will hate it. But you will have support and guidance from our office, and we will be able to assist you by giving you some handy advice, on how to stay up to date and how to easily learn and remember all the information that you're being sent and shared. So yeah, I think it's something to think about personally, and you always welcome to get in touch with one of the offices in your specific country or in our country. So like the Nafik NISO, the Southern African office, we have a lot of staff members who would love to chat to you and to help you with this journey. So this brings us to culture shock and how to overcome it, So acceptance is key. I always say, coming from Africa, we are very happy, we are open-minded, we always smiling, and we generally more welcoming compared to other countries. So if you are experiencing any sort of difficulty, and this is more targeted at our students that will be leaving, if you find yourself in a difficult situation and you don't feel well and you're not sure what's going on, please contact the student counselor. You will get the details on arrival at the university. But also remember, you're more than welcome to contact our Study in Holland office, and we can get in touch with you, video call, WhatsApp call, whatever the case may be, just to make sure you're feeling better and feeling good about this venture. Another hot topic is cost of living and working. So everyone asks us, are we allowed to work once we are in the Netherlands? How many hours can we work? How much money do we get paid? So it's really tricky, and it's not recommended by our office. We don't recommend working while studying because we do believe that the study abroad experience brings in its own factors, its own time. It's really time consuming to be able to work and study full time. So something that is quite interesting is, the amount of money that you need. Everyone always asks us, how much money do I need to live, and the general answer that we give is anything from $700 to $1,000, I mean, euros, a month. And this is like all your total expenses. So this is food, daily essentials, travel, insurance, education material, and housing. So 1,000 being well off, and you have more than enough cash at hand to live comfortably. And then, for working, you do have two job options. So there's the general 16 hours a week all year round for all students. You are allowed to work 16 hours a week in any field, doing any job. And then full-time positions are usually run June, July, and August. That's through the summer recess. But if you don't work officially, so it's like zwart werk, so like your permanent jobs, right? Which are like your 38 hours, your 40 hours a week, you need to be covered by insurance. This also brings in a red flag in terms of how you are able to work full time, and full time being our 40 hours, and study. Once again, this is why we do not recommend working while studying. But if you do find yourself in a position where you would like to earn a little bit of income, you can bartend, you can waitress. We have students working on campus in the libraries, assisting with campus tours, getting paid here and there for a little time. And then this is the exact same money that people are using, or that our students use, to travel on weekends. So it's a good way to get involved into, the Netherlands, their culture, the language, learning the Dutch language, and another fun and interesting job, so to say, is to tutor. So we have a lot of our students tutoring younger scholars English, which is really fun, or any other language. It's really a nice, quick, and easy way to make money on the side. So legalizing your degree. We don't usually put this in the presentation, but because I think we had like 5 emails around this topic in the past 2 weeks, we decided if 5 students don't know, there could be more. There could be more students that don't know, that are just not asking. So, it's really important to get your degree certificate authenticated. This is done by the Diploma Recognition and Legalization Department, based in The Hague. The information is all on our website, once again, www.studyinholland.nl, and our office website, www.nisosouthafrica.nl. All the information is online. It is something important, to get your degree certified, whether it's any kind of short courses or any other certificates that you've done. And it's also something that you're only going to do once off. So you're going to do it now, and it will be done for you for the next few years throughout your stay. There were a lot of websites that were sent through to us for this pre-departure webinar, but we've just highlighted a few which will hopefully open up to more information for you. So it's our Nuffic NISO South Africa website, in which we can link you, although it says Nuffic NISO South Africa, we are part of the broader SADC, and we do send, our Southern African, it's full on Southern African students, so it's the embassy websites in your specific country, you know, the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs. This is where all the travel bans, all the important information around your visa and traveling, you know, coupling hand in hand with your studying plans. Then there's a lovely international student website, which is www.internationalstudy.nl. And then also the Nuffic website, which is our general broader brand, Nuffic, which you will find all the information in, right? Also Career in Holland, but I'll get to Career in Holland and the Holland Alumni Network in our next slide. So these are two of my favorite images that we've received from our South African students studying in the Netherlands who just graduated in the past week. So they graduated from Breda University of Applied Sciences, and they are both in the logistics and supply management fields. So something that's really fun and something that you can do right now is join the Holland Alumni Network. So, the Holland Alumni Network is a worldwide network for international students and alumni with a Dutch study experience. So, this network facilitates contact with other international students and alumni, as well as, you know, institutions, organizations, and embassies abroad. So something, I mean, the biggest attraction to this network is career opportunities, where you are able to filter for possible career opportunities and any sort of exciting ventures, events, and programs abroad or in your home country. So you'll be invited to events in the Netherlands while you are there, or events in your home country, possibly hosted at the embassy, and really lovely, interactive work experience or work related events as well. You know, you can rub shoulders with really important mentors, coaches, etc. in your specific field of study. It's also a great way to share your experience and knowledge to other students who are afraid to take this leap and afraid to, you know, go and study abroad. I know that Corona has kind of thrown in a curveball for all of us this year. But it's a wonderful way to share experiences and knowledge. Also, joining this network is free of charge. So, like I say, you can actually join it now while you are still a student. And it's easy. You just click on www.hollandalumni.nl, and this will take you to a registration portal where you are freely allowed to register. You create a fun, interactive profile of yourself, and then you can easily connect with others. The two important websites which I would love to leave you with today are the naficnisosouthafrica.org website, which is our new updated webpage, where we currently have updated information regarding travel bans, etc., as well as the Holland Alumni Network, which we have just gone over. So the last page of the presentation today includes our contact details. Please get in touch with us if you have any questions regarding your visas, your stay, or your venture to go and study in the Netherlands. We would also like to encourage you to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at NISO South Africa. These are new platforms which we are hoping that you could take over for us one day when you are in the Netherlands, even if you are based at home and doing your online education. So please try and get in touch with us. I do expect at least 50 new followers today. Please follow us. We do follow you back, and we'd love to stay in touch.